What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? We are here at the Tournament of Champions final table. I am your host, Zubaz, where we are going to talk all about this draft. One thing for sure, it is scientifically proven that everything that we say is 100% correct, even when we disagree. It's science, bitch. All right, so let's get into it. I am pumped. We as we get to the final table here, and I'll bring some of this stuff up on the screen. We have, I think where I want to start is where we left off, and that's we had some predictions in the last one of who was going to make it here, and for the most part, I think did all right. A couple of surprises here, but I mentioned. Thinking Cy Maddox had a great team. We were universally loving Clayton Kershaw's team. We thought Pimp might be here, and now three of those guys are in the same division with WFN. And then on the other side, Slick Laptop, who I mentioned multiple times, I watched doing a lot of managing throughout the year. I think that got him here. Ben MC and Dream New York, pure surprises, I think, to all of us. And then VI, if you remember, I both said was going to get in and not going to get in. I really hedged on that one. So, gentlemen, I'll bring you in here. Rent, let's start with you. We got these final 8. What are your initial thoughts of just how they got here? And then we'll start talking about the go forward after that.
I don't think any of these guys were a big surprise to me. I think I had, not to start off with I think I did a pretty good job predicting. I think the numbers kind of worked out for me.
Of all 8 people, you did the best?
Of all 8 people, yeah.
You did the best. Yeah.
Really, the real skill comes in predicting, not in actually managing the teams.
Yeah.
I'll take an honorary 9th place or something. I think none of these guys are super surprising. I think which kind of speaks to both the way the drafts kind of worked out the way we thought they would, but also I think kind of the owner skill in a lot of ways kind of shown through. I don't think anybody is here who doesn't deserve to be here, both from their their portfolio or their resume or whatever. So I'm excited. The whole point was to get 8 really good owners into this final table, right? And I think we've got a great recipe for that.
Yeah. Clone, what's your take?
I want to point out, because I went back and looked at the video today, that I had picked Dream New York. It was not a total shock, and I need to point that out because of how bad some of my other picks were. So I want everybody to know.
I don't remember you picking Dream New York, but I'll go back and look at it. Oh, you did? All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say these were shocking, but I'm hoping for some better playoff races this time because most of them got scored up pretty fast last time.
I was surprised by that. I thought some of them were going to come down. The one that was interesting was the one that we thought was going to be interesting with Slick and J-Pax.
That wasn't interesting. The interesting one was Fwix and LHU, who went down to the final day of the season.
That's true.
That was really the only close one. I think out of the other 8 races, maybe 7 of them, I think 5 of them were sewn up halfway through the season in my view, and then a bunch of the others were pretty much done with a month or so to go. Just because it's so hard if you're fall 4 games back, there's just not that many games to catch up on. So
I was just gonna say that it's hard to claw back if you're more than 4 or 5 games out after drone summer, because it just becomes a bloodbath after that.
But remember how far back Slick started. And
yeah,
I mean, it was
lost
early.
6 games in a row against humans, I think.
Yeah, he started. That was a big hole. But then it wasn't that dramatic because he caught up halfway instead of making it last the whole season.
That division looked like it was going to give us some fireworks because we were putting Kohler in a hole, or I was maybe, and Kohler came out blunt.
He was good,
blazing. Yeah, he was in first place for almost half the year, and Slick was in last, which was the opposite of how we had it. And then teams kind of, I think, reverted to form over the rest of the season.
I was going to ask you about Kohler because we talk about the jinx, but I think there is a bulletin board jinx because there is no reason he should have been in first place for as long as he was, and he dominated against humans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of A and B. Like, it's a jinx, the bulletin board jinx, but then just like ran out of steam at some point, I guess. I think it goes back to what we were saying, right? Like, he was dominating and in first place for half the year, but that's really like 32 games or whatever against humans. And, just think about a normal league, like pretty much anybody could be in first place after a month or so. Not to be like Kohler's just anybody, but, I don't think it was truly shocking. And at the end of the day, it was closer than I thought. I kind of near the bottom of the league, and he kind of ended up near the bottom of the league. So, but everybody was very close. It just, there were lots of like 3, 4, 6 games gaps between teams. That's, it's not a huge difference, but it ends up becoming one when there's just 4 teams in a division.
Well, now let me ask you guys about Cymatics, because when I looked at that team, I just thought it was the most amazing thing. But not only you two, but no one else seemed to be giving him the same love. A lot of people said he was going to finish, but
you said this on the last one too. Like, all of us picked him to win. What are you talking about?
I feel like
you literally did this on the last one where you were like, I'm the only one who saw you guys don't. It was that time. There was only 5 minutes after we had just said we liked his team.
I was the only person, I think, to pick him to win that.
Finish the season.
You were literally one of 3 people out of the 3 people to pick him to win that division.
Oh,
thank you, Rhett, for supporting.
Well, I'm wearing the Diamond Aces diamond lion. Now, this isn't my unveiling of my pick. Don't get me wrong. I have a different necklace for that, but I did want to just represent Cymatics since I am the only one that picked him. So this cost me $84,000, and I did it just for Cymatics. Or no, this was $16. Sorry. All right. So the WFN, I think, had an interesting road there too. I didn't realize until we did Game of the Week that he was going to be facing off as much with his brother, which was pretty cool. It added something to that playoff race.
That's shocking that that's the way that it worked out.
That
was crazy.
Yeah, it was good, and they had one of the first games of the season, and then and we're gonna get into these teams here since we're already a few minutes in, but also Pimp made it, whatever. All right, now let's how do you guys want to do this? You want to go through by the draft or by the team? We can do either way.
Rent, tell us what to do.
Yeah, how do you want to look at it, Rent?
I'm the one. I have them ranked 1 through 8, so like I'd be totally fine going through my 1 through 8, but I don't know if
by team. Yeah, should we start with number 8?
Yeah, I mean, I can lead it off. I think there's an interesting one to talk about here.
Let me pop up my screen here and tell me which team to go to.
So again, kind of like the last, I think the draft I have is even closer than any of the other first 4 leagues. I think like nobody is truly doomed or automatically going to win, but I do have Beyond Hydrodrome, which is Ben MC's team, as my
number 8.
As my number 8, yeah.
And
I think we can, if you follow the draft at all, I think that won't be like super surprising. He made kind of
made a little bungle early on. And I have the draft somewhere here or there. Yeah, so he picked this 97 shortstop first, and that was a brave pick right out of the gates. I think that put him in a little bit of a hole because nobody else was going in that direction, and then he came back with Joshua Zong, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think like LHU maybe or somebody else pointed out that there is a a guy who went in like the 15th round who looks like almost identical to McDonald. And so it's the kind of thing where it's like, I think you're just like the opportunity cost of drafting essentially a guy that you probably could have gotten 14 rounds later in the first round, makes up pretty much, I think, the entirety of the difference between him and everybody else, in my view.
That was a surprising pick too, because he had been through a draft before and saw how middle infield range had gotten devalued in a league format like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just the range, right? It's just it's a guy who does literally nothing else, like awful. So,
That's a good point.
Just really, really tough to, how good a fielder do you have to be one of the worst hitters in the entire league and to go in the first round, when there are other pitchers? It's a serious question. And I think I talked about it last time that, people can have different views on defense. And this was definitely a different view on defense. And I think the real killer, again, is that he could have waited 14 rounds and probably got a very similar guy.
I'm not
so like
sure
even if he is secretly the sixth best player in the league or whatever, I think you could have taken a lot of other players instead.
Obviously, this might not be his final lineup, but when you look at that, it's pretty stark view of what his lineup's going to be. He's going to really struggle getting through. Those first three guys are going to have to. They're gonna have 80% of the RBIs.
Yeah, that's one of the main things that I look at that I didn't used to look at, but the dead spots in the lineup as opposed to looking at the top guys.
Yeah, with leagues like this, it's so important to keep the lineup flowing, isn't it? Like those holes in the lineup, like there's a guy in redraft 99 range, a guy named Barnett, and he just kills innings making outs. Clone, what do you think about the pitching?
We
got some. What's that?
No, I had the exact same feelings as Brent again. We're going in there.
I'm guessing this is not his pitching lineup, but at least I'd hope it's not. But
I think the ordering is a little off for people starting against Struins to start the season, but. Yeah, to me, I thought the pitching was just like it was fine, a little bit below average, but not, a real killer. It's just
it's a lineup that's kind of deep, actually, which is not bad, but there's just, it's kind of a meh when it comes to there's kind of a clear ace here, but then there's a lack of EN on a couple of these guys. But he could have like 8 or 9 legit guys to start.
Maybe this is where his leaning on defense will pay off, and he'll be
but he didn't really lean on defense. That's the part I didn't understand.
Only at the top.
Yeah.
Middle infield.
Yeah, but the middle infield is gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm not super convinced with either of them, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's a traditional, right? That guy would be huge in normal leagues.
He would be a top 5 pick in normal leagues. He might even be the number 1 overall pick in some leagues. All right, who's number 7?
Let me double check. This is where it starts to get really tight, I think, but I have Cy Maddox, Diamond Aces as my number 7. Because I'm already throwing a curveball.
Not picking them again 2 times in a row.
Super particular reason. I didn't love I think anyone really on.
He had the number 8 pick, right?
Yeah, I think his pitching is like really deep. I think he's got like a really solid 1, 2, 3. Just not super enthused about and Peterson, I think, are his 3 best pitchers. I just thought he just didn't really have a lot of star power on the position player side, so just not as strong there.
That first guy, he is a dreamboat. Mine is EN, but House is a complicated pitcher. I guess it really depends on what his stadium looks like, but he could be great. But he's a lefty +4. His highest number is power. I don't know. Like, that guy kind of scares me Clone, what do you think about him?
I like this team better than Rent. I have him making the Final Four, really. But yeah, I mean, he's got that ace that's unbelievable, but the EN is going to be a problem. But
Yep, that guy is awesome.
he does have the same trade-off issue of anybody after Ben. He's a little light in a couple places where he went for defense.
He got this Jacobs, this shortstop. I think this might even be the 15th round guy, isn't it? Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I don't know, but no, yeah, I mean, I tend to not worry about the EN so much, so I really do like that pitcher. And I mean, except for looking at that Jacobs Griffin combo, which now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe that's a bigger deal than I'm thinking. But I had Cy doing all right.
This is his weak spot. I really wanted to pick him, and boy, that is a tough lineup, and this lineup is going to struggle just getting on base. Like, the BA is sweet. It seems like he just weighted that pretty heavily in his decision making.
I gotta step away for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Let's talk about Rent. Let's talk about Rent's clothes while he's gone.
Yeah, let's look through this. Looks like a nice little cardigan. Cy Maddox's team is also the slowest team in this league by a ton.
I hadn't fully looked at that, but yeah.
And I actually wanted to get Rent's take on that, because I when I was watching the draft, I just stumbled on that and looked at it. I was like, wow, it was almost so deprioritized when you are when you're drafting BA. It seems like you almost have to go with a BA speed plan, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're making me a little worried about this pick. And
then look at
that is a super slow team. That's anti-conditioning. I mean, that's like a team-wide commitment to not doing any kind of cardio at any time. Like, you have to work that hard. But yeah, I will say at this point that once I got the players, like, I took the owners' names off of these, because I did think Cy did quite well the first time around. So I put them in order, and then I went back and checked. So I'm trying not to be influenced by who owns these teams and thinking them through.
Yeah,
my impression of how they're going to do.
I think the other thing that I noticed is his best hitters are all lefties.
I saw a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, there is a lot of lefties in this whole league, but I mean, just and they're +2, so it's not the worst, but you're still dropping 150 basis points of OPS with a guy like that if he bats against lefties. And then you look, and he decided not to do that, and so he has this guy who I was like, how is this guy not batting against righties? Let's look at this guy for a second. He doesn't have this guy batting against righties when he's a first baseman.
They're going to be giving him strategies. He might not have it all set up yet.
Yeah, he might not. Oh yeah, do I need to be careful about that? Yeah, maybe I need to stop short of talking about lineups.
I mean, I'm going to post it. They're going to start the season. I mean, who knows? But there's no way.
And I might be fucking wrong. It's not like I'm smarter than him when it comes to lineups. Who knows?
I do think. I mean, look at Williams. Williams was the Anthony Williams.
Williams is beautiful, right? Does he have some history?
And
no.
Yeah, no. This is why I had him so high, because I believe in pitchers like this. I think especially with that SY with the EN. The EN's he's just gonna be an ace through and through.
Yeah, he's a 341 big four. That's a huge, with almost 100. That guy might be a 99 Cy with full scouting. Like, that guy's gonna crush. And 51 is enough. EN, he'll pitch 8 innings every time out, right? Especially with the the Cy, and it feels like he could legitimately be probably a top 3 pitcher in the league.
Game changer, yeah. I believe in that, and that's part of. I realize when I'm looking at these teams, I have things that I favor, and Ian is one I do not care about. But
yep. Where'd Brent go? He's ruining the whole show.
I know. This would be the time. Well, never mind.
Anyways, so let's, while we're waiting on Rent, since he's going to pick the next team, just talk through something with me. When you were watching the draft, there was a lot of discussion about where to pick. I mean, we literally did a lottery for it. You think anybody made a mistake?
That is a very good question that I should have thought of before now. They were like, I mean, I might change that next year, but they were really trying to outthink each other. And when we did the lottery, Slick was saying the number 1 pick was the most valuable, and then everyone left. And I mean, the fact that Pimp ended up
with the number 1 pick,
the 7th choice, and he ended up with the number 1 pick was something else.
I can't wait to get to that guy. I have a couple things to say about Clay L. Hewen. So one thing,
that draft lottery. Sorry for the leaving, but that draft lottery was just watching everybody's brains like totally break as you like gave them this like poison pill like choice.
It was a poison pill. They overthought it to the point where everybody was making mistakes. I think
winning the World Series was like a negative just based off like how little they wanted that responsibility. Like people were gonna like actively take it next year.
I had multiple people say that they wanted to be able to kick, that they wanted to be able to defer to the point where it was enough people that I was like, no, I can't do that, because then we'll just keep cycling through everybody deferring until.
So those first 3 picks, when we get to each one of those teams, L. Hewen, Williams, Simpsons, I think those 3 deserve a bit of a deeper dive. So we'll get into them. Before I move on, Rent, I just want to get your take on something we were talking about while you were gone. The starkest thing about Cy Maddox's team was it's the slowest team to ever be constructed in the history of CSFBL. And it is maybe the only reason that you're not going to hear me say Cy Maddox's name as a playoff team. Did that factor into your thinking as well?
Yeah, it seems, I mean, it's hard for me to tell just because I try to take a holistic view, but I would assume that if you is generally a fan of big sluggers, who are, if it's okay if they're slow, like I think I value speed a lot more than you do normally. So I assume that's definitely a factor in why I wasn't a big fan of his hitters.
Well, and I what I said to Clone is like, if you're going to value BA, you almost have to value speed, right? Like
kind of.
Over
honestly,
slugging, I mean, like, because slugging gets you around the bases one way, speed and BA gets you around a different one.
I think you can make any kind of arrangement work. I just, if there's enough of a, if your speed is low, you just need enough of something else. And I just don't think there's enough of something.
Yeah.
I wish I believed more in like all those synergies between stats that a lot of other people do. I'm not a huge, proponent of that kind of thing. I think you can make anything work. I just don't think this has it, but it's, it's close.
I'm gonna take you up on that challenge here in a minute. So give us who finishes six.
I'll try and go faster. Sorry. I have Dream NY, who I didn't love. That was probably my biggest miss, I think, because he dominated the first round and I didn't love him then. So I'm giving him round 2 for the bulletin board. Not a big fan, or not a huge fan. Again, this is really like just a couple games worse than teams I have, in the top 2, I think, but just a bit of a gap.
Kenneth Dawson and David Robinson, the Admiral. Yeah. So Clone, what's your take here? And I want to talk about his pitching, because I actually think he could win it all with his pitching. So I'm interested in what your take is on it.
So there was the talk during the lottery that he was the guy that outplayed expectations the most, so we should keep an eye on him. I kind of had him in the same place. I mean, I do really like I do really like the slugging. He definitely doesn't have the gaps that the first two guys had
Nope.
going for defense. But I mean, it was one of those teams where nothing stood out to me. Where it was solid pitching, but not one of the best pitching. Solid bats, but not one of the best bats.
So, okay, so I'm going to disagree a little bit here because I actually think he is going to be a playoff team because I think he picked for his lineup. I'm not sure if this is his final lineup or not. Obviously, I like all that slugging he has there. He also has a pretty slow team, but well, now that I'm looking at it, now I'm
Talking yourself out of it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like now I felt like I thought his range was better than this.
I mean, look, I have him, I guess, 3 games out of a playoff spot, which is nothing. So, would not be shocked.
I assume
pitching is not very diverse, right?
Yeah, it really isn't. This is not what I remember his team looking like. Okay,
I'm gonna hard.
I'm backing out of that.
This a very small differences. Yeah,
this team concerns me a little bit, to be honest. I thought like his pitching when he was drafting, I was getting very excited about it because it seemed like he did a good job of getting value pick pitching. And I was thinking that he was getting some steals, but now seeing them collectively, the steals are not going to make a difference. And there is going to be no steals happening here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, no, never mind.
Boy,
these are slow teams.
Yeah, look at how beautiful this Chavez guy would be if he was at like an 80 speed. He'd be a killer. All right, who's finishing fifth?
Somebody else want to go? I guess I'll just keep going down my list.
Yeah.
Next I have you can talk about it. I have Pimp just on the cusp of the playoffs.
Pimp is he clutch rating?
Yeah.
Pimp. Sorry, dude, you're out of the playoffs, sucker. And Pimp is the one that took our boy Clay Luan, and then he had to sit there and painfully watch all these picks until he could get here and pick up 2 pitchers, Swanson and Willis. This comes into play in the way that he had to build his team. For me, watching him draft, it was like he was drafting behind every round. Did you guys notice that? Like he was trying to catch up to what everybody was doing.
It just felt like there were like some real top pitchers at the top of the list, and like I think I have Luan as the best position player. So like if your goal is to get the best position player, like you did it. But yeah, I think drafting behind idea is like a really like apt way to describe it, because you missed out on what the top 10 pitchers or something like that.
Yeah,
just puts you in that hole. And that's just tough, especially when you had the number 1 pick and you had the chance to get who I thought, a couple of the better pitchers in the league instead.
You're foreshadowing what I was going to bring up. That's why I wanted to look at the top 3 picks, because when we get to WFN, there's Simpson and even Wynn. There's a couple of really good pitchers there, but VI also skipped pitching, which we'll see how it plays out. I mean, nobody's gonna cry about getting Luan, right? Like that guy is a nightmare to deal with.
So yeah, I'll restate. I thought Pimp actually, did do a decent job of playing catch up. I have his guy as the 7th best pitcher in the league. I kind of like Todd Lira. Lira, I think, is who I have.
Oh, Lira? No.
Am I saying that wrong?
Todd Lira, the guy, the 96. This guy?
Yeah, so I think that's probably why, I might be a little higher on him. I think it's actually pretty close. Him, Lira, Swanson, and Willis, I think we're all pretty good. I do actually have Lira as the best of the 3, which is probably gonna put me in some weird places. Yeah,
Are we talking about the same guy? You got to tell me why you think this guy's the best of the 3. Is it just like you're saying that the power control of the other guys doesn't match up to that finesse?
Yeah, I mean, just like the elite finesse with the elite or like the close to elite endurance, I think kind of puts him over the top.
It's better than Willis.
Brent likes the EN in a way that we.
Yeah, I don't love the power control in quite the same way as I do even like I don't know. I'll look back, but the 57 specialty is not amazing. I'm just basing it off the order that I have here.
Did you see the hold runner rent?
Yeah, that's true. I missed out the hold runner. That's true. No, I mean, I think you could argue a different ways, and I'm happy to be wrong. But my point is that I think he was able to get value where he was able to, but I think just missing out on a couple of the top 5 guys in a way that again, to foreshadow, I think VI did something similar, but was able to get even more value later down in the draft, pitching wise.
Okay, so Swanson, another hold runner guy. Maybe he really was trying to
do something.
Trying to do that. Look at Dennis White, 92 hold runner. Nobody's stealing on this guy. All right, so
I used to really like having the wraparound picks, and then I came around the other way. I used to really like, it felt like you were in control on either end.
Yep.
But yeah,
you don't have to
I
work
totally
it
converted to wanting the middle.
Yep, I think that's right. But now when you look at his lineup, the pitching is the Achilles heel for sure. But who wouldn't want that lineup? That lineup is dope. Look, he has a real leadoff guy. We'll see. Great number 2 hitter, and then Luan, he has batting third, and then Thompson is probably the 2 or 3 hitter on every other team in the league.
Yeah, the lineup is not, I don't think, the issue.
It's good. The lineup's good. Defensively, a little odd, huh? This is not a very pimp team defensively. 75 and 75 middle infield. I guess there just wasn't a lot of middle infield talent, huh? And maybe that went into some of these choices.
I think something that I'm maybe not taking into account maybe as much as other people might, he's got a lot of lefties that he's starting, or guys with plus 7 right, left, like +7 switch hitter. Like that's, if I'm going to be wrong about a player, like that's the kind of player that's going to really throw me off. So if that guy's a lot better than I expect, which like he very well could be, like this is like, I hate to say it, but maybe a bit of a sleeper, or my placement, it could be very wrong for that reason.
Pip is the sleeper. What kind of scenario are we in? Where
maybe he doesn't need people. He doesn't need
the
dark horse buff.
All right. So now, number 4.
Is this a playoff team? Do you have 2 and 2?
Oh yeah. Is it 2 and 2?
Yeah, I think so. Right. What are the divisions? I've done 2 of each. Yeah. Number 4, my number 4 playoff team is WFN, Carpenter Cowboys.
This one's an interesting one. So WFN is one of these top 3 picks. He took Jerry Simpson, the first pitcher off the board. So let's just hop down to him for a second, because I was sure this was going to be the number 1 overall pick. I know the EN might scare people, but what? I mean, that's like a 350 big 4.
I wouldn't have taken him number 1.
Oh, really?
You would not have taken?
I would not have.
You would have taken Elhue, this guy, Clay Elhue on?
No, I mean, I guess I have my own picks. We'll get to them when we get to them.
Okay, all right. I'll calm down.
I feel like I'm zigging and zagging, but I'm just going to keep pulling up my redraft, current standings to make myself feel a little bit better about this.
All right, so Clone, what do you think of WFN?
These teams always look different when I'm on camera.
Yeah, no,
because I had Cy over him, and now
look at this.
When I'm looking at
it, he went for slugging. But all his sluggers are brick red in DIBA.
The pitching was
he
the
could
thing
strike
that
out a lot. Though.
Yeah, I totally
was what
agree.
I was worried about with the his high EN guys are not his strong guys. So
he's got a really had like a really interesting draft strategy where he took that pitcher first overall, or with his first pick, who Zubaz thinks is the best guy in the league.
Oh, calm down.
And then like kind of abandon it talent wise, I think, for a while, where it's like, I think it's at the end of the day, like his pitching isn't like, I don't really love it. I think it's actually on the weaker side, but I think his position players actually ended up being like the strength of the team, which is just interesting when you take a pitcher with your first pick.
And he did make sure to get range all the way down. He was the only team to do that across the board, if you noticed. He doesn't have anybody outside of the red. So
like that could be a scenario, right? Where it's like, I say like, oh, I don't love the team over the full season because the pitching depth isn't really there. Like that could be a scenario where you're like, oh, if he makes the playoffs, he's gonna like, do much better there when you only have to start 3 or 4 guys. The issue, of course, is that, his ace, who he did take, is a low EM pitcher. So I don't know how much of an advantage that's actually gonna end up swinging for him.
Well, I mean, he becomes like a James Cumming type from redraft. Like I thought he was number one. The other thing that sticks out here is center field, shortstop, third base, all really low EN. And so I don't know what he has backing that up, but hopefully he has something, because that's going to be tough to get through the season with, because these guys are going to miss 30 games.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I took that in a little bit into account, where he's probably a little bit weaker against drones. I would say, we didn't really talk about this, but one of the things that I was probably the most wrong about was just for the first round was how I thought drones would be, and they ended up being a lot weaker than we're used to. I was talking big on the first podcast, oh, somebody's going to lose double-digit games, and I think we had one guy lose 6, and like nobody else lost more than 4. A couple people went undefeated. So
they averaged 2.8.
Yeah, right. So like if drones were twice as strong and the average was 5.6 instead, like that, having that low offensive endurance might be a big downside, because you'd be worse against drones. But if the drones are so such pushovers, like maybe it's not that big a deal.
There's so many teams that went heavy on left-handed bats. Is that just the way this one worked out, or is this their bias?
I haven't looked enough at the pitching is there a lot of left-handed pitching? Does somebody know?
That's what I
don't
know. I hadn't noticed until we're sitting down here to see how many lefties there are on all these lineups.
There is a lot. Yeah, that is for sure. All right. And okay, now drum roll, please. It is the number 3 ranked team.
Thematically, I should have done him one spot earlier, but I have Slick Laptop Franchise 4 as the number 3 team.
All right.
And we're talking very close margins at this point between 2, 3, and 4. Less than 1 win.
I would be surprised if Clone didn't concur that Slick is going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I've got Slick up there.
I told him that I think as a manager, he's as good as it gets, but then he had a big draft too. I think it'd be tough not to assume that he is the front runner.
Here's the hottest take that's going to get me roasted.
Let's do it.
I think I would have taken win number 1 overall.
You would have taken win number 1 over. Oh yeah, he has 99 EN. I mean, he's a +1, but he is beautiful.
I could be also biased by the way, won my championship in redraft when I won with a 2-man rotation in the playoffs, playing the whole way.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A couple mid-90s, high 90s endurance guys. And Win actually looks a lot like Rouse in a lot of way, if you remember Rouse from redraft. Sure. So just that like super high finesse, super great control, 99 endurance. Like he could throw. It doesn't matter against drones, but like, could he throw 400 innings? Like maybe, like if you really wanted him to.
He got him at number 4.
So he's gonna be able to work like 2-man rotations against drones. You know,
that could be the first pick.
He'll go down to like 50 to throw a complete game against the drones. So,
you got him making the right choice with choosing to defer. Then,
yeah, that's true. He was dropped back and got it. Yeah, so I think that's a really good advantage. But I think the rest of the draft is also very solid, without any big weaknesses. Don't love the middle infield maybe, but I don't think it's as big a deal.
And then I wanted to point out that his second pick was this Collins guy who, I mean, he's pretty too. He doesn't have that EN that would be nice, but boy, I mean, you got those two guys back to back. Those are both legit aces.
I think he's the only team that only took 10 pitchers. I enjoy that because they all had one scrub. He didn't even give a shit.
He doesn't care.
I think it really, given with the drones quality, I think it really doesn't matter.
And then look at this. With his third round pick, he got Bowman, and Bowman is he's the best leadoff hitter in the league. I mean, that guy's a monster. I mean, he's a lefty, but still, I just don't think it matters. That guy is just too good. And he can play, like we were talking about before. People that are elite at one thing don't survive in leagues like this. And he's safe everywhere. He has speed. He can play left field. Good.
Yeah. I like this team. I have it even a little higher than Brent.
Yeah, where did you have it? I guess we're in the top.
I mean, top two. I don't think I had a
Yep. I had him number 2 as well. And I am very happy because the team that I picked to win this is still in it in Rent's ranking. So who's number 2?
All right, so we're finally gonna get Clone's reveal.
We're gonna do our reveals here.
Oh yeah. So
well, I already gave it away. No, right. We gotta. Well,
forget it. Wasn't worth it. We had this Clone had this whole thing planned. We were going to show whiteboards.
Yep.
I ruined it. I apologize.
That was for the playoff winners because we went with rankings instead.
Yeah, because you haven't.
I did have.
Oh,
I did have my playoff team.
Oh, the binder's a good call, or the notebook.
That's a good call.
Yeah, whatever. So I have as my number 2 team. I have VI, just to get a hair above second and third, or third and fourth.
VI is
cancerous, super fun.
He's so good.
Lizard.
I'm so in love with this team. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, it's just really well-rounded.
So much so that I'm revealing my winner. The cancer is super fun, billion lizards, and I got my $1 billion mindset. Go VI, you got this, baby. You are the winner of the league. I'm gonna wear this all year. $1 billion mindset. This cost me $8,000. Or no, wait, this one was $13. But you're my boy. Okay, now let's tell everybody why he's going to win this thing, and hopefully he has his lineup set here. This guy's team is Murderer's Row.
I think he got really good players. I think I said he's just really well-rounded in a way not many other teams are. Like we've talked a lot about how some people had to make sacrifices elsewhere. I don't see that quite as much where it's like he's got solid pitching. He's got a couple really top tier position players. And like probably the other hot take is that I think Julian Henderson was like the steal of the draft. And I'm feeling even more secure now that we talked about how many lefties there are. I think he picked him like 16th or something, and I don't. I might be even higher than some other people on where I would have picked him, but I don't think he was or 15th. I guess I don't think he was a back in the second round talent. I think there were a lot of players that
he's an
he could have gone in front of.
And now, what about this? We'll go back to
and
this
the endurance
Williams
is always
because he picked this shortstop, and when he first picked it, I was a little scared that he made a mistake, but boy, now that looks like a beautiful pick, right? In terms of how he did the rest of the draft.
Yeah, they work together pretty well. I don't think he was a great selection at number 2.
No,
really.
It's terrible.
Not terrible.
Terrible.
But,
the worst.
It was a reach, a bit of a reach. But I think Henderson cancels that out. I think the draft almost makes more sense if you would swap those two picks from my perspective, but
yeah,
you get them both at the end of the day. So
I'm with you on that. I was shocked that Henderson didn't go in the first round. He seemed like maybe the third best pitcher.
Yeah, he's got that 98 hold runner as well. So
yeah, well, that's how I rank him. But
no, so regardless, so I think
91 EN, man, that guy's he could pitch 40 games in the regular season.
Yeah, or again, I think thinking more just like 3 complete games plus maybe even you could try and run a 2-man rotation kind of thing. I think because so much is going to come down to the playoff series. So
yep.
Yeah, so I think it's just he didn't have to make many sacrifices, so I think it's just really good on both sides, on all sides of the ball. So I'm excited to see how it turns out.
And I didn't hear you mention what I thought you were going to mention. This is the other reason I like him. He is the one guy that got speed with all these hitters, and so like every one of his team, you said it already. There was no sacrifice. He has power. He has BA. He's a little weaker in DI, but he has speed, and his defense is more than serviceable.
I'm just looking up stadiums because I don't think he has a particularly big one.
They might not be locked in yet either, but who knows?
Oh, that's true. People still have time.
Another 3 or 4 lefty bats or switch bats.
Hey, VI says them. Brent says you don't have a big one.
That's true. Very, very interesting. I don't know if it's locked in yet, but I think almost it looks like 7 out of the 8 teams have average or smaller-ish stadiums, which is interesting.
Yeah, surprising. I guess we shouldn't talk too much about that if that's not locked in. Huh?
Yeah, that's true. So people still have time.
Yeah.
I had this team making the playoffs, but I'm not the EN.
You have the $1 billion mindset?
So I had Slick beating BI in the playoffs.
I mean, I have them decimal points apart. So
yeah, we weren't too far off on that.
Honestly, I think BI and Slick will make the playoffs. I'm not sure who wins between the two of them though, because Slick is. I'm not kissing his ass. I really think he's really good at managing his teams. And so, who knows? I mean, going into a playoffs, like Slick isn't the one you want to get matched up against. Let's just
stop the video there and act like we did them all.
Oh, and Glenn
all
Senior.
Right, thanks, guys.
Glenn Senior, Senior. This looks like quite a steal too. This was my favorite pick of the draft because this was a 3rd rounder. Obviously, the guy's killer. He has the biggest arm of all catchers. Like he was far and away the number 1 guy in his position, compared to the number 2 guy at the position.
Yeah, the position is catcher though. So
hey, calm down. Don't talk to your senior like
that.
No,
he was a good. I think that was a fine pick. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, number 1, we are going over to the Carlton Swingers. And once again, this disgusting love affair you have with Clayton Kershaw. What is your deal?
I think it's very validating that CK and I have like 2 very different data sets that we both kind of approach the game mathematically speaking, but did so in very different ways, and we both found a lot of commonalities. So I've always kind of loved his teams just because I think it matches up with how I tend to see things. So this isn't very surprising. He did kind of do something I thought you would love. The guy who takes Scarlett Wall first overall, no matter what, in a redraft, he took a DH with his first pick, which is not a common strategy, I think, the way a lot of other people take it. So definitely doing something a little bit different. But I think his offense.
He clearly fell in love with this guy.
I mean, it's hard not to. He's pretty good. Seems pretty good, even in this league. So, if that guy has a good season, he's going to be really hard to beat. But I mean, Waldrop, this guy he got lead off, is also pretty insane. The pitching's not the best for a team that I'm predicting to be number 1 overall. So that's maybe something to be a little worried about. I think it's actually fairly weak, but I just, which is like a formula, I think, where it's like, I think the position players offensively, especially, are so good that it's going to carry weak pitching stuff. Like that is kind of a formula for flaming out in the first round or even in the second round of the playoffs. So that might be something to keep an eye on, that this team might do really well in the regular season and then be less competent when it comes to the playoffs. But
Yeah, he
you
has some
can't win the
EN
playoffs.
issues.
Yeah, can't win the playoffs without making the playoffs. So, so I think it would be my pick to do so more than anyone else.
Let me ask you this, because when I was looking at his team, the one thought I had is like, how much CFAT is he going to roll into the playoffs with?
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, the hope is that you have enough of a buffer that you can rest.
No, the drones the way they are, and CK will be paying attention. He's not going to barely have any, if he's going to have any at all. If you're taking your time off with the drones, as you should, I think that's not going to be an issue. The issue will be how many innings he can get out of them in the playoffs and how often he can pitch them.
Yeah,
I bet one of these guys will have over 20% CFAT.
How much?
How much do you want to bet? Yeah,
$1 billion. No, I think he's going to get to the playoffs as well. He is, with the exception of VI, he has the most diversified team, I think, and he has good players everywhere. I mean, he definitely, top to bottom, knew what he was doing, right? Like, it was clear he knew what he was doing all the way through. Ruben Starr, and then was it Larry Gaiman? Let's see.
It's interesting how many first round picks you weren't a big fan of, and you still like how you reversed the team.
Yeah, I would have. Again, maybe I'm just kind of spoiled from redraft, where we went through like a 4-year period where I agreed with like all 8 first round picks, like exactly. Like maybe that league was just set up in such a way. I had a lot of personal differences with a lot of the first round picks, but it sounds like everybody kind of just like swapped the way they view their first and second rounders with me, and people ended up with the players that I think they could have ended up with anyway. So maybe it's just the destination matters more than the journey, or I'm just totally wrong. So either or.
Well, this was a good take on the you knew that off the top of your head that Slick was the only one that took 10 pitchers, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. So do you think well, I guess he
it probably doesn't matter, but I like it. I like it.
I mean, I've done that in redraft where I almost always put a scrub in the bullpen, and that's again with drones being a lot harder. Like, you stick him in the long reliever spot. If he has to pitch, it's in a game where your starter got blown up and you're going to lose anyway.
Yep.
And you'll never pitch against drones because your starters never get blown up. So
I almost always have
an impact too. Yeah.
I almost always have a weak pitcher in the long reliever, because I like to have some flexibility with my hitters. It's a long season, right? Like, and you need somebody that can cover through middle infield and try and knock off some CFAT if you're getting guys that can't go 3 games without being below the.
There are a lot more good hitters with 30 endurance than there are like scenarios where you need an 11th pitcher over just having 10.
Yep.
Agreed.
Actually, that's the best way to say it. Okay, so now, so did you agree with Rent's Final Four? Or did
we switched? The biggest difference between us, I like Sai's team better than he did, and he's got WFN up there. I still like WFN's team, but I had CK beating Sai on that side. So I think he had CK beating WFN.
Yeah, that seems right.
So
and I guess I have Sai in last place. Oh boy.
I have WFN
in that division
and CK on one side, Slick Laptop and VI on the other side. Even though I'm a Slick Laptop fan, VI wins that playoff series. WFN wins on the other side. VI wins the whole thing.
In the first round, I went against like my raw data a couple of times for the playoff series because I wanted to seem clever, and I got most of those wrong, and I would have done better if I just followed the numbers. So I'm gonna just not try and be clever here and just say, my order is how the playoffs are going to play out. That CK takes it over WFN, VI over Slick Laptop, and CK takes it home. As we said in our first round, he was the early pick to win it all. He was my heart still lies with Snowwind, who got trampled by Dream NY. So maybe like Dream NY should be like my heart pick again to carry on that torch. But
I forgot about
my
that.
brain still says he should have won. He had a good team.
This was the reason I wanted to see. This was the reason I wanted to do the reveal, because then I could pick who was going to win and then just do. That was the whole reason why.
I ruined your hour-long joke.
You would have.
Oh, that got me.
Pretty good.
So is that your actual picks?
Yes.
So Slick over VI and CK over WFN, and then CK wins it all?
VI over Slick, but yeah.
No, I was talking to Clone.
I had Slick over VI and CK over Psy, and CK beating Slick.
Oh, okay. So we have 3 in common. Slick, VI, and CK. And then the only thing else is Rent and I have WFN, and Clone has Cymatics for some reason.
God, Pimp's gonna end up winning this somehow.
I know. I was just gonna say the same thing.
When you were out of the room, I was saying when I made these picks, I took the names off of them to try to not be biased. And then when I put the names back on, I did stare at Pimp's team again and be like, am I really gonna? Because I do think he's got the intangibles.
Bet against Pimp ever.
Just going by the players, I think
he saw the clutch code.
Yep.
And the
career season code, yeah.
Clutch rating Winthrops. I mean, that's a good name.
Brian's gonna hack in just for the name.
Yep. Okay, so let's stop that, and we're back. Okay, so as we wrap this up, Clone, I'll go to you first. Any final thoughts on getting this thing started? Or any advice for any of these guys?
I'm not going to give any advice. I'm excited that we're getting started because this is a long process. This draft went even better than the other drafts. I don't know if you noticed, but they got it done. I think they got it done in 4 days.
Like they got it done in 4 days.
And better.
Yeah, 4.5 days.
$250 is a big motivator.
We didn't have one person time out in any of the drafts. Like it all went really well.
Wait, $250? Is that what I agreed to?
Uh-oh.
God damn it.
We're gonna turn it off right now.
I thought it was $25.
But
yeah.
No, I was happy with how it went. I want it to be closer than last time. I want there to be some drama at the end, but I don't.
They gave us some 7-game series and
yes,
all 8 teams within 2 games with a week to play.
That would be fun.
Yeah, and all of you watching that are in this, if you're in the World Series, we're doing those games, game of the week, and we're doing all of the World Series games on this. If you don't feel comfortable showing your face, you don't have to, but I need you on here because people want to see the World Series, baby. Somebody's going to win the ring. All right, Rent, what's your final take here? Feel free to give it any advice that doesn't tilt the balance of power.
I have no advice as well. Yeah, same as Clone. Excited to see this get going.
Okay. Well,
I'm happy that I made you choke with this. I just want to keep.
I really did choke. I do have some advice. It is to do your best, eat your vitamins, and love America, and that's the best way to win. But the best way to win is most likely the clutch rating. So even though we didn't give you any love, Pimp, you probably won just because we didn't call your name enough. So I think that's it. Here we go, Tournament Champions, all on the line. The first one ever. And this is going to go year after year, decade after decade. This is like the Green Bay Packers winning the first Super Bowl. It's done. It's on the scoreboard forever. There is a lot to play for. Here is the real advice. Don't sleep on any sim. Every drone game, everything. Be ready for it. All those wins add up. And there's a lot of people that are not sleeping to eat your lunch. So get after it. We'll see what happens next time. We are out of here.